So it's Aaron's staff that swallows up their staff. Okay, so I told you that miracle is possible in terms of magic in those areas. More of this repetition. Line 16. Say to him, Yahweh, the God of the Hebrews, has sent me. Let my people go to offer me worship in the wilderness. We've heard that around 10 times now. Yahweh said to Moses, say this to Aaron. Line 19. Take your staff, stretch out your hand over the waters of Egypt. And this is where everything is turned to blood. And there's something about, as I said in this discussion I heard recently about the algae or something, this red, maybe it's like the red thing we get in the water here. It's been recently very heavy red, whatever it's called, out in the ocean here. That the fish have actually flourished on, but it's a kind of a species of algae. In any case, the Egyptians were hiding from all this. They dug holes along the banks of the river in search of drinking water. 26, beginning of 8, overlap in numbering here because it's probably 2 columns. Go to Pharaoh, say to him, this is Yahweh's message, let my people go. We have frogs. 8:1, Yahweh said to Moses, say this to Aaron, stretch out your hand, your staff, over the rivers. Make the frogs swim over the land. So he does this, and the frogs come. Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron, and tell Yahweh to rid me of these frogs, and I will let the people go. And anyway, these discussions go on. You can read all this. I don't need to. What I'm looking for is where Moses starts to act alone, and then the question I will have is why he needed Aaron. When Moses and Aaron had gone from Pharaoh's presence, Moses pleaded with Yahweh about the frogs, and he granted Moses' prayer. And then, as soon as he was relieved, line 15, Pharaoh wasn't going to pay attention to his previous promises. So they sent mosquitoes. And the same thing goes on. This is ritualized because Jews celebrate this in their Passover meal now. So this goes all the way up till chapter 9, the 5th plague, the livestock. And line 8, we get there, Moses says to, Yahweh said to Moses and Aaron, the 6th plague boils. Line 13, he only says it to Moses. And then finally line 22, what I was trying to get to. Yahweh said to Moses, stretch out your hand towards heaven so that a whole land will be covered in heavy rain and lightning and hail. And Moses takes the staff and the lightning comes down and it rains all over Egypt. So there he does it without Aaron. So why do we need Aaron? If Moses can do it without him, why do we need him? Anyway, line 32. We're getting to the problem with the wheat and the crops that were not destroyed. Moses left Pharaoh, went out of the city, stretched out his hands, and the hail stopped, and it rained no longer. By the way, starting the hail and stopping the hail, Elijah supposedly does that. And in the letter of James, that miracle is referred to. So Moses and Elijah have a sort of connection on that, rain stopping and starting. In any case, chapter 10. Moses and Aaron go to Pharaoh, and same thing again. Same threats and so on. And again, Pharaoh says, okay. Then line 12, Yahweh said to Moses, stretch out your hand on the land of Egypt, bring on the locusts. And Moses stretched his staff, there it is, he's doing it again alone, line 13. So, if he does it alone, what does he need Aaron sometimes, and if he can do it himself? And that's the question I have. What is going on in this text? And again, I can't give you the final answer. Line 21. Line 16, it's Moses and Aaron again. Line 21, it's only Moses. Bring darkness. So he stretched out his hands and there was darkness everywhere. So Moses is doing it alone. So Pharaoh summoned Moses again. Line 24, go, take your herds, get out of here. We can't have you here anymore. Get out of my sight. So it's Moses alone with Pharaoh, and they're talking quite well together. Don't need any mouthpiece here. Okay, one more disaster, line 11. Yahweh says to Moses, alone. And finally, line 4, Moses says, this is Yahweh's message. all the firstborn are going to die, and he's quite eloquent, and he doesn't need a mouthpiece. So I'm asking you, how come sometimes he needs a mouthpiece and sometimes he doesn't? You may have an adequate answer. I don't have one. I'm just posing the question. My answer is that Aaron is being insinuated into Moses' miracles. Now, that may have been always the case, but I think originally Moses was probably functioning without Aaron. Now, in the stories I'm talking about, I don't know the real history, but a final point I would make, at the end of Exodus, we get a lot of anti-Aaron material. People who don't like Aaron. What's the main anti-Aaron material we get at the end of Exodus? Who builds the golden calf? Aaron. And when the Levites go through the town and get their appointment and kill everybody, I assume you're reading this before me, we're just going over it again. The Levites go through the town just like they went through, by the way, Shechem earlier over the circumcision, over the rape of their sister and the circumcision that they'd inflicted upon the Shechemites. The Levites go through and win honor now because they kill everyone in the camp who has been worshiping the God that Aaron instructed. And I'll show you in that episode that Aaron should have been cut off at that point according to the narrator of that story. Because at one point it says, you know, anyone who's done this should be cut off. And that should include Aaron. So we get pro-Aaron material, anti-Aaron material in Exodus. People who are for the Aaronite priesthood, people who are not for the Aaronite priesthood.
So is there the golden calf and the Aaronite priesthood being related to the two golden calves of the Israelite?
Well, we're not there yet. I'm just showing. I just wait till we get there. I think there's no point trying to get ahead of it. So I'm just want to show you why you're doing this. You might ask me. I'm doing it because I already know the answer. I haven't read the whole book, where you guys are maybe not through the whole book, or maybe you haven't read it carefully. But the question that comes out is, you say, well, there's no reason why you should think that Aaron is not hero in this book. Yes, there is, because there's anti-Aaron material in this book. On the whole, it's a pro-Aaron book because it's all about his investiture of priests, what they're to wear, what their garments are supposed to be. And in fact, that's repeated twice, not once, but twice. And the pretense of the book is that it's repeated twice because Moses broke the stones the first time. He had to go up and get them again because of the golden calf. But obviously, all this wasn't written on the stones. So again, it's two different text lines that have been just overlapped and probably stitched together there. But in any case, according to the story,